While Alabama's Supreme Court decision is not a law, it has already had an impact on access to IVF in the state, with some facilities pausing their services due to concerns that they might get into legal trouble. There is one state in the union that has a specific law banning the destruction of embryos outside the womb. That's Louisiana. We'll keep you updated as the news out of Alabama evolves. In Nebraska, state lawmakers held a hearing late last week on a bill that targets babies with disabilities. LB 1109 would allow babies who are believed to have certain conditions in utero to be killed by abortion up until the age of 22 weeks old. Current Nebraska law bans abortion after 12 weeks. Some of those fetal anomalies include trisomy 13 and trisomy 18, conditions that have a high survival rate after birth when babies are given proper care. Pro-life leaders spoke at the hearing asking lawmakers to oppose this bill.
LB 1109 operates under the idea that a human's being life should be ended because its span may be shorter than the average human lifespan.
The bill, introduced by Nebraska State Senator Merv Reapy, would also remove criminal penalties for these abortions. Father Ezra Sullivan, a professor of moral theology and psychology at the University of St. Thomas Aquinas in Rome, joins us now to weigh in on what's happening both in Nebraska and Alabama. Father, thank you for being here with me. Let's first talk about Alabama. While the Catholic Church is not against exploring treatments to help with fertility, it does teach that IVF is never acceptable. Can you expand on why?
Yes, the issue of IVF is sensitive because a lot of people are having trouble conceiving in this time. And there are lots of different reasons for why conception is difficult. But ultimately, the church says that we want to go the natural route. Something like IVF ultimately separates the things that God wanted to be together: love and marriage, conception, procreation in the very marital act. And so what IVF does is it unites the sperm and the egg of the mother and father outside of the marital act within, a hospital or some sort of laboratory. And what this does then, it breaks apart this marital bond between the husband and the wife. And ultimately, it's bad for the child, too.
Right.
And so it can lead to problems of identity for the child, as well as it's often harmful to the marriage itself.
And we know that as a result of IVF being so prevalent now, there are thousands upon thousands, perhaps over 1 million embryonic children who are frozen in facilities across the U.S. alone. What's to be done about this? Is there guidance from the church on what should happen to these children?
Right. And this is one of the great difficulties in IVF, is that many embryos are, as it were, conceived outside of the womb. And then parents often have to sign a waiver saying that the storage facility has the legal right to destroy their children or to use them for experiments. So the church is clearly against this kind of production of children in a mass machine kind of way. And what should we do about it? Well, this is actually very controverted. I've directed a number of different master's theses that try to argue one side or the other. And so far, the church has not spoken definitively about this. Should we try to allow parents to conceive these children since they already exist? Should we baptize them? And in that moment of baptism, the embryo unfortunately cannot survive. These are quite difficult issues. And as I say, there's no definitive resolution, because it's a situation that John Paul II would say is irresolvably evil. There's no way to solve it without some kind of moral problem arising.
And evil does exist in the world. So I think this is a good time to kind of remind ourselves of that. Father, you spoke about potential baptism for these children. When they are thrown away, cast aside, is there ever any sort of memorial service that can be celebrated for them? Any special prayers that we can be saying for their souls?
Well, absolutely. Of course, we can always pray for anybody from the first moment of conception until their death. Even after the death, we can pray for people. So the difficulty with the frozen embryos is that they exist in a laboratory, or they are being preserved artificially. And ordinarily, there's no way to enter into this situation to rescue the embryos, to baptize them. So it's kind of a theoretical idea, really. And probably what would be the best to avoid surrogacy, which is also itself a problem, because then it's separating motherhood from being in the womb.
Right.
So to avoid surrogacy, then probably what the church may recommend is to allow these embryos then to die a natural death. But of course, if we're able to baptize them, certainly we should attempt it.
Of course. And Father, thank you for your expertise on that, your knowledge. Let's move now to Nebraska, where some lawmakers, they want to target children with disabilities for abortion. Your reaction to this?
Well, this is absolutely appalling. And we know where this goes, that first they say it's something like trisomy 13 or 18. We know that Down syndrome children are aborted in very high rates. And then they start to say things like, it's not even for physical deformity. It's going to be for an economic situation, or it's a racial situation. In some parts of the world, girls are aborted in much higher rates. And so it leads to a huge demographic problem and this great inequality. And so we would say in no case whatsoever can we kill an innocent life, no matter what kind of disease they may have or what sort of genetic disposition they may grow up with.
Right, right. And Father, you know, it seems that with both of these big pieces of news this week, what we're facing is really a human inclination to take godly matters into our own hands, in particular when it comes to the supernatural creation of a family. What do you make of this?
Well, one of the difficulties that we need to accept as human beings is that we're weak, we're imperfect, and sometimes when, for instance, we have trouble conceiving, sometimes that's our body's way of saying that maybe we need to find another way to give life to the world, another way to serve others. And on the other hand, when God gives us children that have any kind of difficulty whatsoever, whether mental or physical, physiological, as they develop, well, that's a gift that God has given to those parents. They should feel assured that God wants to give them the grace to be able to generously accept that gift of life and to help that life to survive to its fullest extent.
Well said. Father, thank you so much for joining us and for your knowledge on this again. It's been an honor to have you. Father Ezra Sullivan.
Thank you for having me.